Y'all, we have another update on the David situation. Shout out to Blackie Speaks. He's bringing us the autopsy results that was recently just revealed. And it's nothing that we didn't already know, but this David guy is even more deranged than we ever could have thought, man. This has probably got to be one of the most disgusting, craziest cases that have happened in a long time, but let's get right into it and see what's going on.
Now, the autopsy results in the David case, spelled D4vd, have finally been released. And with this information now out, we're getting a much clearer picture of what happened to 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. This is a report that up until now had not been made public. Authorities were holding back those details, while the medical examiner's office was pushing for its release. Now it's out not just to the public, but to the family as well. And from what we know, they're learning a lot of this information at the same time as the rest of the world. Before I continue, I do want to say this video contains details that may be difficult to hear. If you're sensitive to that or have children around, this might not be the video to watch right now. But I'm going to go through this report very carefully and stick to the facts so you understand exactly what's been revealed. Because this has been one of the biggest missing pieces in this case. Without these details, it's been difficult to fully understand what happened to Celeste. Now, the cause and manner of death were determined back in December, and this is the first key point. The report states that Celeste died from multiple penetrating injuries caused by an object or objects, and the manner of death has been ruled as a homicide. Now, as for what that object or those objects were specifically, that hasn't been confirmed. As of now, there's no publicly identified murder weapon as far as we know. However,
and it's probably very hard to determine what object did it, because if you guys don't know, like, when they found Celeste's body, it was in the back of a trunk Tesla, just burning up in that hot LA heat. You know, again, excuse me for being descriptive, but I'm talking about, imagine being in the trunk of a car. You guys, I know you guys have sat down in that car seat before and it's hot because the sun is just blazing, you know. And then we're talking about LA, California, where fires start just from the sun being out too long. This is where her body was found for potentially months, just laying there, decaying. So, you know, shout out to the authorities for being able to identify anything, but you know, that the remains were potentially so decomposed. I'd imagine, I'm surprised they even got this much information out of it. Very crazy, y'all.
This is what we know. The report, which I was able to obtain, goes into specific detail. It states that Celeste had two separate penetrating wounds to her torso. The first was located on the upper right side of her abdomen, and according to the report, that wound penetrated her liver with an approximate depth of 1.5 inches. She also had a second penetrating wound, this time to the lower side of her chest, which was measured at around 2 inches in depth. Now, the report expands on what investigators found at the time of discovery. Her remains were located inside the front trunk, which was of course registered to the popular singer David, with her head and torso positioned in a body bag. During the examination, investigators noted that both of her arms were missing above the elbows and both legs above the knees. Now, underneath that first bag they found, there was also another bag. Inside that bag were what appeared to be her arms and legs, which the report says appeared to have been dismembered into several fragments. A lot of heavy details right here. At the same time, Celeste's body was in an advanced state of decomposition, with discoloration, insect activity, and partial skeletonization.
Oh my God.
With the report also noting that her left eye appeared to be absent. Investigators also noted that some parts, including fingers, were not recovered at the scene.
And I got something that I want to show you guys at the end of this video, which is just makes the situation so much more chilling, but we'll continue on with Blackie Speaks explaining the situation. Crazy, man.
And that she had a tattoo that read,
make sure you guys stay tuned.
Like, shh, quiet, on the side of her right index finger, which, as some of you guys might remember from a lot of the early reports when this story first broke, appears similar to a tattoo seen on David in a photo. And I'll put that image on the screen right now for reference to my right side right here.
Wow.
The report also details what Celeste was wearing at the time: a tube top, underwear, black leggings, and black socks. It also notes that the tube top had multiple holes in both the front and the back. The autopsy then goes into the toxicology results. According to the report, Toxicology performed on liver tissue showed a low level of ethanol, basically alcohol. However, it did not appear to have contributed to her death. Investigators also noted that it's unclear whether that alcohol was from ingestion or the result of post-mortem changes, which are basically changes that can occur in the body after death. Now, as far as the toxicology, the report mentions a few other substances as well. Most notably, Celeste Rivas tested positive for benzodiazepines, methamphetamine, and MDMA. However, and this is very important, those results were listed as presumptively positive, which means they showed up in initial testing, but would still need further testing before anything could be confirmed. The autopsy report also provides some insight into the evidence collected. Investigators stated that they swabbed the handles and zippers of the bag containing Celeste's head and torso. While the report doesn't specify the outcome, this type of testing is typically used to identify things like DNA or fingerprints. The bag itself was also described in detail, with 3 handles on each side, along with additional handles at the top and bottom. Investigators also noted the presence of small blue plastic pieces at the cut sites on her arms and legs. All those findings are now part of the evidence in this case moving forward. Now, one of the more recent updates from 2 days ago, which I covered, investigators alleged that on or about April 23, 2025, David invited Celeste to his home in the Hollywood Hills area. She arrived, and according to investigators, this was the last time she was known to be alive, and those developments came after the first-degree murder charge David is currently facing. And in response to those charges, his legal team stated, "Let us be clear. The actual evidence in this case will show that David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and he was not the cause of her death." David has since then appeared in court and entered a plea of not guilty.
David Burke, also known as the musician David, dressed in a black sweatshirt, stood behind a glass partition as his attorney.
Obviously, I feel no sympathy for this nigga, but I can't help but wonder what state of mind is he in. Because when we're talking about people this deranged and crazy, like, I think back to, like, the Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Characters like that, when they got caught, even though they were crazy, deranged, and evil, there was, like, a certain level of calmness to them. I think I remember watching an interview with Jeffrey Dahmer where he was kind of on some, like, you know, it was only a matter of time that I got caught. I'm happy I got caught. You know, if I was outside in the world, I would probably keep falling into these situations and keep doing it. So it was like he was so self-aware about how crazy and like just disgusting he was. You know, he was like okay with this situation. I just can't help but be semi-curious of what's mind state is this guy in, because he's a superstar artist touring the world, making all this money, very successful, and then to have his life pretty much derailed, lack of better words, because obviously we're happy that he's in jail now, but for essentially doing one of like some of the most disgusting things that you could ever possibly do. I'm just curious if he pled guilty, so clearly, pled not guilty, so clearly he is taking the stance that he didn't do these things, right? But I'm just wondering, is he suffering? Is he like, you know, feeling as if he wants to get out, or is he okay with his fate and kind of just going through the motions? Like, I don't know, Brand. I guess when it comes to people like this, like this is gonna be a case, regardless of anything, that we're going to hear about for years and years and years, like the Jeffrey Dahmer case, the Ted Bundy case, where it's just a crazy anomaly of just like, what the hell is going on? So, again, don't want to like diminish or add any lightheartedness to the situation, but I just can't help but like, what is this guy thinking?
Attorney entered his plea of not guilty.
We believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste.
David is scheduled to return to court.
God damn, and these lawyers, man, I mean, somebody's got to do the job, but holy shit. When you get in court and are defending somebody like this with so much damning evidence, I just gotta think you ain't got no morals or soul, bro. Like, we going for that money by any means possible. Again, somebody got to do it, but fuck, it couldn't be me, bro. Like, this is... How do you defend that?
Today, actually, on Thursday, in downtown Los Angeles, his legal team has been pushing to move things forward quickly, with a probable cause hearing expected to address the evidence against him. So this would give more insight into what investigators are working with in terms of the evidence they say they have against him. Over the next couple of days, we're going to learn a lot more about where this case stands, especially now that the autopsy findings are out, which of course will be tied into the broader investigation. And of course, I'll keep you guys updated with any new verified details as they come.
What I'm about to show you guys right here is very, very chilling to me, especially after seeing that autopsy report. This guy had an animated music video. We're obviously not going to play that music for copyright reasons. And, you know, again, I don't want to add any more publicity to this guy's music career at all, but it's just so chilling and crazy. Look at how he is depicting this woman in this video. So we have him covered in blood, Edward Scissors hands type of vibe. Somebody who really resembles Celeste. Does this not resemble Celeste, y'all? And look at what's being depicted here. He slashes and cuts off her arm. This is crazy, bro. It's almost like, and this is why I said I can't help but wonder the mind state that this guy was in, because he not only is a murdering PDF file, but a sociopath on a level where, like, it's almost like he was playing in our face, laughing in our face, showing us what the things that he was doing the whole time, making music, making money off of this, profiting off of shit like this. This is content that he put out, bro. And then what else was in the autopsy report, right? She was stabbed in the area, the abdomen area, right? He has a sword flying across the room, which ends up stabbing this woman in the abdomen area, bro. Right in our face. This is what he's depicting in his music. Insane. We also have some more breaking news here that wasn't included in the video. The DA says David was allegedly SAing Celeste as of September 2023 when she was barely 13 years old. Just after she had turned 12.
Michelle, in the murder case of the musician David, they were in court, preliminary hearing, and the prosecution said that there was a significant amount of child pornography on David's iPhone. Now, the hearing today was all about the evidence that the DA's team has managed to build, and the defense wants to see it. They say that David is innocent of the charges, that he did not murder 14-year-old Celeste, but every time there's a hearing, we're learning more about this case, and the DA says that David was sexually abusing Celeste as of September 2023, when she was barely 13 years old, just after she had turned 12. Now, they have another hearing scheduled for later this month, which means that if the judge says, hey, we move forward with the preliminary case, the DA is going to have to produce some of the evidence. That will become public. We will know much more exactly about the prosecution, what kind of evidence the prosecution has, maybe witnesses that they have been talking to, and what the allegations are specifically. But again, the defense maintains that they are pushing for a speedy trial, pushing for the prosecution to give them what they have, because they believe the evidence will not hold up in trial. Also, they have been angling for bail because at this point, David is being held without any bail. He could face the death penalty if he's convicted, because he not only faces a murder charge for the killing of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, but there are aggravating circumstances, including that he was allegedly lying in wait, that he did it for financial gain, and that he murdered a witness. So this is building up into something pretty big.
Again, y'all, the more and more that things are unraveling in this case, it only gets more and more deplorable. But I'm gonna keep you guys up to date to the best of my ability, man. Again, it's never really a good time talking about this, but this is just so crazy that I can't help but, you know, tap in, man. And, you know, hopefully we continue to get more and more justice for Celeste. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Where you at, family? I'll see you guys in the next one.